I am late. Usually, I'm not late. Usually, I'm on time. Hello. Hey, some guy is in here. Welcome. I'm going to wait for a couple more people to join, and then we're going to get started with the most must-see live on all of finance TikTok. If you want to learn how to invest, more importantly, if you want to learn how to retire, because if you saw Nikki Haley's speech the other night, they want to move the retirement age. Republicans want to move the retirement age to 70. You got to be in charge of your own finances. You got to. We can't have the retirement age go to 70 when the average life expectancy is 77. We just can't do it. So if that's what they want to do, that's what they're going to do. But you need to learn how to invest so you can be in charge of your own finances so you don't end up working until you die. Because that would be less than ideal. Good morning. Hello. All right, some people are joining. Hey, listen, if you're sticking around, if you really want to be in this live, do me a favor and hit that screen a whole bunch. It's really the only thing outside of following me that I ask of you guys. Hit that screen a whole bunch. Just for like 30 seconds. It brings in a lot of traffic. It only keeps these lives more interesting. The more people that are in here, the more lively these lives are. Look at that. Someone already started hitting the screen, and we went from like 16 people to 143 almost immediately. It really helps early on in the live. I only just went live 2 minutes ago. And look at that. 240 lives, over 202 people in here currently. Get your stock market questions ready. If you want to learn how to invest, you are in the right place. If you don't want to learn how to invest, I hope you are financially wealthy independently. No, I do not do options trading. I've lost money on options every single time that I've traded them. So I just said, you know what? I'm good at stocks. I'm going to stick to stocks. And that's what I've done. For the last 13 years, I've traded stocks for myself, by myself, in my pajamas. I don't sell a course. I don't sell one-on-ones. I don't sell ebooks. Everything about this channel is free. Hey, 425 people in the most must-see live on all of finance TikTok. Welcome. My name is Kenneth. You can read a little bit about me here. If you stay and you ask a question about the stock market, I will answer it. If I don't know how to answer it, I will tell you, and I'll send you to someone who can. I get a lot of questions about crypto. And even though I'm heavily invested in crypto, I generally will send people to other content creators like Alex or Evan or any of the litany of other content creators on this app who are more equipped to answer these questions than me. If you want to learn about stocks, though, you're definitely in the right place. Look at all these new followers. Jack of all trades have followed. Supernova has followed. JS39. Trey Osborne, good morning. Hello. Sands number 1 has followed. Mel is always in this live, and he just liked it as well. Lots of new follows this morning. Hello and welcome. Is it too late to invest in the Magnificent Seven? No. The Magnificent Seven, and look, just for the record, I can't give financial advice, but my feeling is that the Magnificent Seven, many of them had massive growth last year. Massive. You look at something like Nvidia, up over 200% just last year alone. It's not really. I don't go live with people I don't know. Although who is this? Can I see this person? Someone who's verified wants to go live. Tyrone Tyga? I don't know who you are. I'm sorry. The Magnificent Seven are the big tech stocks: Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, stuff like those. Google, Meta. They're the largest cap companies in the tech sector or in the markets today, and they're called the Magnificent Seven. How much are you worth? I don't share that on the internet because I'm not stupid. Gunsmoke, GS Smokes, Shalom, can you suggest any good Middle Eastern companies to invest in or do research into? Off the top of my head, the only one that I'm aware of is Zim Integrated Shipping. It's the Israeli shipping container company. Hello. Oh, so the Mag 7. Look, they had massive growth last year. I think it's unrealistic to assume that these companies will have 200% growth every year for the next few years. It wouldn't surprise me if something like Nvidia underperformed this year based on their performance from last year. Year to date, the stock is up 20%, which is incredible. But stocks don't go up massively every single year in perpetuity. I imagine that when the Fed cuts rates, like they have alluded to doing this year, people will move more towards dividend stocks to get those higher yields. Everyone says lately to me, why bother investing when you can just open a high yield savings account? Man, For the people who are in this live who are a little bit older, they'll tell you that high yield savings accounts didn't used to be 5%. They haven't been 5% since I was a kid. If you really want to go back a long way, the first bank that I had was First Union. You remember First Union, which got bought over by Wachovia? And it's something else now. I don't even know what Wachovia is anymore, but I don't think they're around. But when I was a little kid, they had a 5% savings account. And then that went away. We haven't seen 5% in a very long time. So to sit there and say, oh, you can just get higher returns in savings than McDonald's stock with their 2% dividend is naive. Not only, speaking of McDonald's, I just got an app alert saying, McNugget Mania, get a free 6-piece. High yield savings accounts will go. As soon as the Fed cuts rates, the high yield savings rates will drop a little bit. You need to save if you want to invest. So no, I don't think it's too late to invest in the Magnificent Seven, but my point is I think we'll see a slowdown in Magnificent Seven growth this year and return to dividends in 2024. That's my guess for the year. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong because I'm a big shareholder in NVIDIA and lots of the other Magnificent Seven stocks. AMD looks strong this year. I agree. If you only had $5,000 to start with, what would you buy today? I don't tell people what to buy because that's financial advice, but this is for EJ. Go look at the pinned video on my page that says new to investing, do this. Go watch that video. It's like my pyramid thing that I came up with or whatever. It's like the food chart, the food pyramid, but for finance. Go watch that pinned video. If you're new to investing, do this. It starts you heavy on index funds. Then it goes into other ETFs, then individual stocks, high quality ones, and then the smallest part, the very top of the pyramid, speculation and risk. SMCI went up massively on Friday. That super microcomputer, they own a lot of crypto. Yeah, it went up 36%. Wow, that's crazy. I appreciate your expertise. Unfortunately, a lot of spoof accounts have been popping up for you. Lisa, not recently. I've been on TikTok for 4 years, and I've had the spam accounts going on for 4 years, too. There are probably 3,000 to 5,000 scam accounts of mine popping up, eating away at my own views. If you ever go on my channel and you see that I have low views on a video, it's probably because the spam accounts are boosting the video, paying to get views, paying to get followers, and they're taking away my share of views. There are thousands of them, and I get DMs. You don't have to DM me, by the way. I get DMs 10 to 20 times a day from someone on TikTok or someone on Instagram saying, hey, just so you know, I know. I report them all, every time. Block and report, frauds and scams, trying to be me. TikTok comes back every single time and says no violation was found. I don't know what to do about it, except for occasionally making videos. Christian says, what are your thoughts on Realty Income? It is hands down one of the most popular real estate investment trusts, if not the most. As you are into stocks, are you into geopolitics? If so, do you mind if I ask you a few questions? I live in Washington, D.C., so politics are all we talk about here. So you can feel free to ask some questions. I don't know if I'll be able to answer them. I'm not an economist or anything like that. Margot, good morning. How do you feel about Luckin? Is that the coffee company? Suspicious about it. LKNCY. Luckin was like the Chinese Starbucks a couple years ago, and I bought a whole bunch of it. It skyrocketed. I viewed it when I got into it as a swing trade. So I was like, I'm going to get in, I'm going to get out. And I did. A couple months later, some reports came out that said that all the stores they were opening was actually a lie. It was false. And because China doesn't have the same standards that we do when it comes to like reporting on actual things that are happening within their company, they were able to get away with this. I think they were trying to fake it till they make it. They had a lot of problems. The stock took a really hard tumble. You can see here that in 2020, it was $50 a share. That was in January. January of 2020, it's $50. April of 2020, it's $4. Now, some people might have said, at this point, I'm going to jump in and I'm just going to hold a little bit of it to see what happens. Speculative. You remember that pyramid I was talking about at the beginning where speculative is all the way up here? Someone might have said, hey, at $4, in May, it dropped to $1.39. someone at some point might have said, I'll dump $1,000 into this thing and get a couple hundred shares or whatever, and we'll see what happens. Well, in that time, the stock is up in the last, let's see here, in the last, well, the data's a little off here, but from 2020 at $1, it's $23 now. So you've done pretty well if you bought it as a little bit of a gamble. And I also see Mel was asking about, who asked about Luckin, also said that Save is becoming a meme stock. I bought a little last week just for funsies. I am up 20%. I don't know what my plan is for this one, to be honest. Stock trader me would have sold it and taken my 20% gain. Speculative investor in me kind of wants to wait and see what happens. So I might just hold on to my Save stock for funsies. I'm up 21.11% on the stock that I bought last week. Do I recommend that you buy it? No, I don't give financial advice. But as a speculative play, which is what I always talk about, smallest part of your portfolio, maybe it's 100 shares, maybe it's 1,000, depending on your portfolio, a little bit at a time. Brandon Payne says, how much ballpark in a $10,000 range do you have in the markets? I don't share that on the internet, sorry. BXNY says, damn, why would I take your advice? I don't know, I don't give advice. Ice to Taylor, I think I got it wrong. You said, what's do your own research? DYOR, do your own research. You can go on my website. I have a do your own research guide. So people always say when I do these videos, they go, hey, what website was that? How can I find that website? What calculator? Where did you read that? How did you get that? So go on my website. It's just my first name and my last name, kennethsuna.com. Click on the menu. It'll be those 3 little bars up here or down there if you're on your phone. Click on the menu. A little side thing will pop up, and it'll have a free resource guide and a couple templates, which are also totally free. A lot of content creators on this app say that you have to pay. You have to give them $10, Venmo, PayPal. They say sign up on the email list, and then they bombard you with emails about their course or their one-on-ones or some ebook they just wrote. Not me. It's on the website. You can have it right now. No catch. All right, scrolling to the bottom, and I'm going to work my way up. I'm heavily invested in Tesla. Thoughts long-term and this week with earnings. Earnings for Tesla right now are going to be kind of choppy. They have a lot of competition on the markets right now with Rivian, with Ford, with all the other car companies now branching out. It could eat into their market share. It could make Tesla a little less volatile. I own it. I love it. I'll continue to own it. I'm not selling it ahead of earnings. I'm a long-term Tesla shareholder, and I plan on being a long-term shareholder. I imagine... Oops, what did I hit? I imagine that Tesla will see their volatility cool off a little bit into the future now as more cars or more brands are competing with them. But that doesn't mean I'm dumping it. Tesla is 212 right now. They have a 1-year price target of 249. People always get nervous into earnings. Well, should I buy it ahead of earnings? What if it goes up? What if it goes down? It's too much of a gamble going into earnings. You could buy it today or tomorrow, and then earnings, which are on Friday, could be devastating. You could buy it tomorrow and earnings could be fantastic. And you could be like, yes. You could buy it tomorrow and earnings could fall flat. And they could say, well, we sold exactly what we wanted to sell, and our guidance for the next quarter looks equally flat. Stock tanks. So there's too many variables that could go into trading a stock into earnings. One option for a lot of people is I'm going to buy a little now ahead of earnings and hope for the best. This is not an investing strategy, by the way. And if their earnings are really good, at least I got some last week. And if their earnings are really bad and the stock drops, at least I didn't spend all of my money, and now I can go buy a little bit more on the dip. How are you, Kenneth? I'm great. Thoughts on Spirit? Airlines usually not a great investment. Do you expect Tesla to turn around after earnings? No, I expect that it will be all eyes or all ears on their guidance for the next quarter. See, when a company reports earnings, they say, here's what we did last quarter. Okay, that's old news already. It's old news. What are you doing next quarter? This is how Wall Street works, right? It's like, what have you done for me lately? That's how it's going to be for Tesla. It's going to be all eyes on next quarter. When's the Cybertruck going to start finally getting sold? Are we going to see some of that Cybertruck? What new things are you working on? What goals do you have for the next quarter? Blah, blah, blah. Spirit Airlines, Save. Hot garbage, total risk. I own some. I bought some last week. If you heard, I'm up 21%. I'm treating it like a lottery ticket. I only bought what I was willing to lose. If I lose 100% of my money, I'm going to come out here and I'm going to say, oh well, and I'm going to move on. I'm not going to be sitting there going, oh my God, I'm broke. Oh my God, I lost everything. Because I treat speculative investments like lottery tickets. Felicia, he's babbling. Hi, sir. Do you think the markets will see a downtrend next week? I don't know. I don't make predictions. William says he's babbling. As a person, I'm just answering everyone's question. If you asked a question and I gave you 5 minutes uninterrupted, you'd be very grateful for it. Okay, Boomer. Okay. Thoughts on Spirit Airlines? It's a lottery ticket. I don't understand how Tesla can be long-term from here. It had an amazing run, but the cap is insane. Tesla's huge. It's everywhere. Everyone has one. I live in Washington, D.C. I think what's going to end up happening to Tesla is their massive growth days are going to get behind them, and then they're just going to become a regular auto company like all the others. Someone else asked earlier, and I can't remember who, about WWE. How do they grow? That's an example. Here's the example. 10 years ago or so, WWE launched their own network. It was a WWE network, and it was going to be like a Netflix. And that made the stock skyrocket because it was guaranteed income every single month from millions and millions of subscribers. And it was good. WWE Network was great. They had their own shows. They aired old pay-per-views, old episodes, interviews, documentaries. It was great. And it grew for a very long time. And then they sold it to, I think, NBC or Peacock for billions. And that drove the stock price even higher. Now, they lost their network. They sold it to Peacock. They merged with TKO, which is UFC. What's left for them to do? So I think WWE's big, massive 10-year growth is probably done. Does that mean it's going to be a bad investment? No, it's just going to have changed and morphed a little bit. I think the same will happen with Tesla. Like this guy said, Stinky McNasty. He said, I don't understand it. It can still be a long-term investment, especially if you bought it like I did in 2016 and you just hold it. But for a lot of people, O is popular but does not move much. Yeah, so O, Realty Income, isn't a growth company. They are a dividend company. They pay 5.45%. It pays a monthly dividend of around 26 cents per share that you own. It gives you exposure to real estate. It does not give you exposure to growth. You have to have a diversified portfolio. If you're younger or you want to take on more risk, you can dump all your money in crypto and in growth stocks and stuff like QQQ or VGT, which are tech-heavy ETFs. And then you can put a little bit in Realty Income and just let it slowly start compounding over time. By the time you are 60, you'll have made tons of money in your growth stocks. Maybe you've made some money in crypto. And that Realty Income that was slowly growing over the years will now be generating enough passive income for you so you can retire and live off the dividend growth. And it shouldn't just be the one. You can get other dividend ETFs as well. What's the best app for investing? Charles Schwab, any good? So I use TD Ameritrade. It's what I've always used. They merged with Schwab. Charts, Thinkorswim, is now a part of Schwab. It's great. I love Thinkorswim. The actual website of Schwab, I think, sucks. I think it sucks, and I hate it. I loved the TD Ameritrade website. It was just easier to navigate. Schwab's website, I think, is garbage. Now, I've written them a few times, and I've said, like, hey, I have a lot of followers, and they all hate it. What can you tell me so I can tell them? And they said, we're working on it, and we're trying to get Schwab's website more like Ameritrade so people don't leave. But from what I've heard from other friends, Fidelity is pretty close to the old TD Ameritrade, and I'm sure Fidelity has their own version of Thinkorswim. I don't know it because I don't use it. Think that chip companies will continue to do well for Dharma the Kid. Yes, I am. William, again, saying, stop babbling. I'm answering people's questions, man. If you don't like it, you can leave. Yes, I think chip companies will continue to do well. Let's see. What is the high-risk investment on the pyramid? That's whatever you choose it to be. I can't tell you. I can't give financial advice. It would be something like this. S&P 500 index fund, largest, safest, boring. Dividend ETF, growth ETF, real estate investment trust is the next level. Also boring, but can have higher returns. Third level, individual stocks, high-quality ones. Johnson & Johnson, McDonald's, Apple, Microsoft, Google, NVIDIA, stuff like that. Even Altria, which isn't growth but pays a really good dividend. Once you've gotten those safe, boring stocks, and they're there is still risk with individual stocks. Even high quality stocks can become losers. Once you've got that, then the smallest part of your portfolio, 5 to 10% of your money, invested in high risk stuff like Save, like Spirit Airlines, like Dogecoin, things like that. Money that you think could do something, but you could also lose 100% of it. You gonna hit 1,000 views today? Rick Gilbert, it's not looking so. There were 400 in here a minute ago. All right, to the bottom we go, and I'm working my way up. E-Trade is garbage as well. Don't bother unless you want to enjoy late laments up to 4-day delays. Yikes. What I've learned is that when the market tanks, buy, like all in. So, yes, but you have to have a definition of tank, right? Because some people will look at every single down day in the market, and they'll go, oh, it's down 2%, I'm buying. Oh, it's down 1%, I'm buying. Oh, it's down 0.5%, buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. They buy every little dip, and then when the big dip happens, like a recession or a market crash, they have no money left to actually buy anything. That can be because they're trying to time. They're either trying to just buy every little teeny dip, or they're waiting and trying to time the market to wait for the big dip. You don't really know when it's going to happen. Sometimes you don't know it's happened until it's already gone, which is why I'm a big fan of dollar cost averaging. Little at a time. Pay attention to the markets if you are so inclined. If you look at the markets and you see Dow Jones down 800 points, Wall Street in turmoil, yeah, that might be a good time to throw a little bit of extra money into a stock. If you see a particular company that you like and is high quality, and they had earnings and it was a disaster, but you think long-term they're going to recover and do just fine, that is an opportunity to maybe consider buying a little bit more. But if it's, markets have had a rally for the last 5 days and they're just pulling back a little bit, I don't know if that's the kind of dip I would want to buy. What do you think of SoFi or Hood? Hood, I'm assuming, is Robinhood. Don't like it. Let's see. Robinhood since going public, Robinhood is down 80%. They angered a lot of people on TikTok and Reddit with the whole Wall Street bets thing. They limited your trades. So they were losing so much money that they basically came in and said, you can't sell your GameStop, you can't sell your AMC, too bad. And that really freaked a lot of people out and upset a lot of people, rightfully so. Now, look, TikTok is a little bit of a bubble. Outside of that, people don't really often pay attention, and they don't know, and they're just casual investors, and they want to have an account, and they know of Robinhood because it's the one that advertises a lot, and they know it. It's up 18% in the last year. I don't know. You'd have to really look at their numbers, but their grades are valuation D-, profitability D-, momentum D. The only thing that they have working for them is their growth, which is rated at an A+. SoFi, I like a lot more. I like a digital bank. I don't understand why there are banks on every single corner in every city that you go to. Why are there 5 banks on every block? Nobody goes to banks anymore. I don't understand it. SoFi is online. They can keep their costs down. They can pay higher yields because they're not pissing away their money on endless rent for all these locations and what's the word I'm looking for? Like utilities and upkeep on these buildings. They don't have to staff them. They don't have to hire cleaning crew. They don't have to pay insurance and rent and utilities. So they keep their overhead low. I like SoFi. How you feel about NGG? That is National Grid. It is a multi-utility company. I've never heard of it, to be honest with you. In the last 5 years, it's up 27%. In the last 10 years, it's up 1.5%. I'm going to assume here that they pay a dividend with growth that slow. They have a 5.35% dividend. It pays semi-annually, so twice a year. Most companies, by the way, pay quarterly, 4 times a year. It has a dividend safety grade of C. So I don't know. I mean, you're getting a good dividend. You're not getting much growth. I feel like there are higher quality dividend paying companies that have a little bit more growth than that. Do you think Tesla will go up? I don't know. Eventually at some point. Fidelity doesn't have anything close to Thinkorswim. Really? Let me look. You might be right. I've never used Fidelity, so I don't know. Invest, plan, save. Online trading. Advanced trading. Yeah, they do. It's called Active Trader Pro, and it looks kind of just like Thinkorswim. Maybe it's a little different in some ways, but it says our full-fledged platform that started it all. Download the system for real-time insights, dynamic visual analytics, and powerful stock trading tools. They have a dashboard. They have a mobile app. So yes, they do offer something. I can't say that it compares to Thinkorswim because I've never used it. Why Meta and Tesla? I bought Facebook stock when they went public on IPO day, and then a month or two later when the stock tanked. I just knew, when I bought Facebook stock many years ago, I didn't really know about disruptors. I didn't know about growth. I didn't know enough. I just knew I used it and I loved it, and I believed that long term the stock would crush it. I had no reason to back that up, by the way. I wasn't able to look at their earnings back then and be like, yes, their future, their guidance and their forecast and their price to book. I didn't know any of that. I just knew I use it, and I don't use a lot of apps. I don't use a lot of things. If I'm using it, it must be good. So I bought it. And then when it tanked 2 months later, people were like, the headlines were all like, nobody uses Facebook anymore. And I was like, that's bullshit. So I bought more. And now it looks like nobody uses Facebook. It's like just your mom uses it. But they own WhatsApp, they own Instagram, they own Oculus. They're branching out into AI and the metaverse and all of that stuff. So I bought and held for a very long time. Does that mean that you should buy it because I said these are my favorite long-term? When I say these are my favorite long-term investments, I don't mean for your future. I mean for my past. I bought these stocks ages ago. And you see this home that I live in? These stocks paid for it. It's crazy. This is from Josh. I hate Thinkorswim. I love SSE from Schwab, but they are retiring it. Oh no. I have $10,000 in a savings. Should I put it in stock or high yield? Kyle Moore, couldn't tell you. I'm not your financial advisor. What you need to do is look at your finances. Do you have debt? Do you have student loans? Can that $10,000 go to paying off high debt, high yield debt? Do you have high interest rate debt, 17% credit card debt, student loans that are out of control? If you don't have any of that, I, again, cannot tell you what to do, but I always would encourage people to invest their money. A high yield savings account is great for your rainy day fund, for your emergency fund. If you're saving to buy a car or a house and you don't want to tie up those funds in something volatile like a stock market, then yes, high yield is great for savings, for emergencies, or for saving towards something imminent. If you're thinking about your future, you're never going to retire off of a high yield savings account. And as soon as the Fed cuts rates, which they'll probably start doing this year, those high yield savings accounts will start lowering their rates. Maybe it'll go from 5.5 to 4.5. Maybe it'll go from 4.5 to 3.25. I don't know, but they could cut those rates. Saving is not investing. You will never retire from saving. You will never save yourself into retirement. You have to invest. If you're new and you don't know what to buy and your follow-up is, well, what stocks do I buy? When you leave this live, go look at the pinned video that I have on my homepage that says, new to investing, do this. Miss T says, yes, Schwab stinks. I've never used Robinhood. What is the value of your portfolio? I don't share that. Great content. I bought WWE stock in 2014. P.S. 40-year anniversary of Hulkamania in a couple of days. I've heard about that. I'm 38. I've been watching wrestling since I was a little kid. I wanted to be a pro wrestler. I broke my back training to do it. I've never been to WrestleMania. I've never been to one. Either I couldn't go, or it was too far away, or it was too expensive at the time, or I didn't have anyone to go with. I wanted to go with a friend, and I would go to friends, and they would say, well, I have kids, I can't afford to go, blah, blah, blah. So I've never been to a WrestleMania. And it's like the Super Bowl of pro wrestling. Everyone wants to go to WrestleMania. And for Christmas this year, even though I'm Jewish, my girlfriend, Sarah, surprised me with tickets to WrestleMania. So the two of us are going to WrestleMania. I was I was so excited I cried. And we're going to WrestleMania. And yes, WrestleMania weekend, this TikTok page is going to be a lot of WrestleMania videos. How do you feel? Oh, I answered that one already. If you're just starting in your late 30s, any recommendations for a portfolio diversity? Yes. check my pinned video. It's the pinned video that says new to investing, do this. You might want to layer your portfolio differently if you are in your late 30s and just starting. So for example, an S&P 500 index fund has an average rate of return of around 8% if we're factoring in inflation, which we should do. So you'd have to invest hundreds of dollars every single month to end up with $1 million in 30 years. On the other hand, something like QQQ or even QQQM, it's the exact same thing, has an average annual growth of around 15% factoring in inflation. Just because it's done it, by the way, for the last 10 years does not mean it will have 15% average returns every year going into the future. It could change. The tech stocks that have had massive rallies over the last decade could maybe slow down a little bit in their growth. Or maybe new companies will emerge and they'll take over as the Magnificent Seven or the Magnificent whatever. But what I'm trying to say is just because it did well in the last 10 years, don't bet on it doing the same amount. I don't go live with people I don't know. Goodbye. Be very careful. But something like QQQ could yield higher returns for you if you're 30 and you're starting out a little bit later. It might be more advantageous of you to go with something like QQQ as your main investment and then an S&P 500 index fund instead. And then real estate investment trusts, dividend ETFs, tech ETFs, blah, blah, blah. Do you use price action and institutional order flow for entry exit? No. Chinese car company, what do you think? Not really. NVIDIA bought several years ago at 19. Hell yes. I bought NVIDIA at like 125. What's your opinion about Realty Income? It's one of the best dividend reinvestment. It's one of the best real estate investment trusts on the market. Thoughts on WD-40? I don't have any thoughts on WD-40. It's not a stock I know too much about. WD-40. Do we know their symbol? Oh yes, WDFC. The stock is currently $264 a share, and their one-year price target, according to analysts, which are only right 30% of the time, is $313, up around 18.5%. Is Rivian at a good entry point? I'm thinking about 6-month call options. Joe, I lose money on call options every single time, unless I'm selling covered calls. I'm not the one to ask when it comes to options. As far as Rivian goes, you have to ask yourself, do you think that they have enough cash? Do you think they're well positioned to remain in business and be profitable? They made 17,000 cars last quarter. They sold 13,000 roughly. So they're selling cars. They're making cars, they're expanding, they're growing, blah, blah, blah. But I can't tell you. I can't give you an answer. Do you long Kava? Yes, I bought Kava on IPO day, and I've been buying slowly ever since, and I love it. How do you feel about SoFi? I answered that question. I'm 38. All right, I'm all caught up. Kava is doing okay. Spirit Airlines is terrible. Guidance will be down. They lost 5% share. If Tesla drops, I'm buying. Tesla is not a good opportunity. Earnings for Tesla will be horrific, blah, blah, blah. Okay, lots of stuff on Tesla. This guy says, hey, Anya. Lots of people saying Tesla will go back into the 180s. Tesla is short Tesla, blah, blah, blah. Josh says buy VTI. I'm not a real big fan of VTI. Save, Tesla. Wow, today is all about Tesla. Okay, over 100 new comments. I got to scroll to the bottom and we'll work my way back up. Thoughts on Wendy's? They just got a new CEO from Pepsi. I love Wendy's. Let's see here. Wendy's has a dividend safety grade of F. A new CEO, like you say, is a new CEO coming in from Pepsi. New CEOs make big changes. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if he came in, hey, ambitious. I wouldn't be surprised if this new CEO came in and cut or eliminated the dividend completely as a part of their overall turnaround plans. Usually cutting a dividend is bad news. If a new CEO comes in and says, we're making big changes, cutting the dividend, firing people, downsizing our menu, blah, 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 blah. Not that you ever want to see people get fired, but that's what Wall Street likes. Wendy's could be an opportunity here. Will they ever become McDonald's? No. How many Wendy's locations globally? There are 7,000 and almost 7,100 Wendy's locations. I think McDonald's has like over 30,000. So it's not going to compete. but it's definitely, it's definitely a company that can do well. Let's see. Anya is driving, so be careful. Kind-hearted, can you look into Public as a broker and share your thoughts? I've never used Public. I would send you to Austin Hankwitz, who's a friend of mine on this app. He talks about Public a lot. Rolls-Royce, I don't really know much about Rolls-Royce. It's funny to me that this is a penny stock. It's funny to me that Rolls-Royce is a penny stock. The symbol is RY CEY, I think. Let's see here. There's no analyst covering Rolls-Royce. Rolls-Royce. Your opinion about PayPal. I like PayPal. I think they have increased competition, but they also own a lot of the competition, like Venmo. It's $65. Their 1 year price target is 71. There are 28 analysts covering PayPal. Of the 28, 13 recommend that you buy it. 15 recommend that you hold it. So if you already own it, don't sell it, don't buy more, just hold what you have. 0 recommend that you sell it. For Chandani, I don't know how to pronounce your name, but you said thoughts on target date funds. I like target date funds. For a casual investor who doesn't want to do anything, a target date fund can do it all for you. You pick the year you want to retire. It invests for you and adjusts the portfolio as you get closer to that date, so you don't really have to do anything. It's very low. Effort on your end. On the other hand, you might decide that you want to pick your own portfolio and you want to do your own things. You could have higher returns that way. A lot of target date funds invest in like total market funds and total global funds and then some bonds. And then as you get closer to your date, the position in the total market funds kind of gets smaller and the positions in the bonds gets a little bit higher. I think they're fine. I don't own any. Viking Actual 912. Thoughts on the Bitcoin ETFs? I like the Bitcoin ETFs. I think it gives a little bit more. Peace of mind to people who are older and maybe look at Bitcoin and go, I don't know about this. Well, then they hear Fidelity and JP Morgan and Vanguard have these ETFs and they go, oh. I think it also will level out the volatility because these big, huge funds with billions of dollars will buy up the majority of the Bitcoin that's out there and they'll control it, which is funny because Bitcoin was supposed to be for the people and now it's controlled by the very thing the people hate, which is these giant Wall Street funds. But it could help kind of like tame down the Wild West vibes of crypto, which could give more stable returns, although maybe slower returns. But I still like them. If you don't want to buy your own crypto, you don't want to open a PayPal or a crypto.com account or something like that, you can just invest in one of these funds. I think it's fine. When do you sell? It's so hard for me. My plan for when I sell is never. Usually I will sell a stock if my feelings change towards it, or I think there's another stock out there that I would rather buy and I need to free up some funds. So the most recent example I can give you is about 2 years ago. I had Microsoft stock and I was like, I like Microsoft. I think Microsoft is going to do well long term, but there's this other company I really want to invest in and it's expensive. It's NVIDIA, per share expensive. And I need to free up some capital so I can buy a position in NVIDIA. What am I going to cut? I don't want to cut my Apple. I don't want to cut my Tesla. I don't want to cut my Facebook. So I looked around and I said, I think Microsoft will underperform NVIDIA in the next couple of years. I'm selling Microsoft. Sold Microsoft, bought NVIDIA. It worked out for me. Other times I have to sell are when I'm buying a home, like my home where I live. As a full-time stock trader, I couldn't get a loan. I went to a couple different banks. I said, I want to buy a home. They said, what do you do? I said, I'm a stock trader. And they laughed at me. And they were like, your returns are huge this year, but the year prior, they were less huge. And then what happened in like 2016? And I was like, well, my grandma died. So I was dealing with family. So I wasn't trading a lot. And they were like, well, then you weren't making very much money. So we can't give you a loan. Your income is all over the place. Well, that's how it goes when you're a stock trader. So I was like, well, how do I buy a home? And they were like, you pay cash. And I was like, shit. So I had to sell a lot of my stocks to buy my home. So that's when I sold. Generally outside of that, if something really fundamentally changes with the company, then I will either reduce my position or sell it entirely. But usually I'm in it for the long run. Bart says you should put some in Bitcoin. I own a ton of Bitcoin. Rolls-Royce, what do you think? I have no opinions on Rolls-Royce. It's a penny stock, though, that much I know. So I would only feel comfortable putting in what I was willing to lose. It is currently $3.85. Anything under $5 is considered a penny stock. Last year, it went up 200%, which is insane. Last year, it was $1.30. Now it's $3.85. Since going public in 2014, it's down 80%. So it depends on when you buy. Uber, I like Uber. Haley says, I wish I knew how to trade. It looks complicated. Haley, if you're still in here, go to my YouTube channel and watch my technical analysis playlists. It'll walk you through how to set up your charts so they look like mine. Sorry, my nose is a little itchy here today. How to set up your charts so it looks like mine. When I got into a trade and why I got out of a trade, they're walkthrough videos. So they show you, I kind of talk you through, this is what I did, this is why I made the decision to buy, this is why I got out, this is how much I made or lost, blah, blah, blah. And by the way, trading isn't for everybody. Just because I like to trade stocks doesn't mean it's right for you. And just because it's the right career path for me, as someone who's not married and has no kids and doesn't want kids and doesn't want to get married, I can afford to have my income fluctuate. A lot of people who have kids or parents to take care of or rent that they have to worry about, they can't be a trader. It's too much volatility in their income. Uber stock. Uber, let's pull up Uber here because they have a Uber has a really good 1-year price target, I think. No, they don't. Just kidding. Oh, what Uber has is a strong buy rating. There are 37 analysts covering Uber. They only give it a $67 price target, which is up 3% from where it currently is. The higher price target is $80. Of the 37 analysts who are covering Uber, 0 recommend that you sell it. 1 recommends that you hold it. 36 recommend that you buy it. Now, look, people hate on the analysts all the time, but 36 analysts saying buy it gives me peace of mind. And yes, they can be wrong. Felicia says, I don't know what that means. Anthony Weiner, the politician, hi, you're 38, me too, what month? May. I do like Uber. PayPal or Square. I'll tell you what. If you go on my website, there is a stock comparison template that I designed that is completely free. You can go and answer your own question and do the fundamental analysis comparing both companies. My website is kennethsuna.com. It's just my first name and my last name. Click on the menu. It's those 3 little bars up in the corner up here or down there if you're on your phone. You can download the template. You can click on the link and it can be fillable so you can input your own data. Let me see if I have one open because someone was asking me to compare a stock the other day. I don't know if I still have it anymore. Where did it go? Hello? It looks like I don't have my template open anymore. Oh well. It's on my website. Let's see it. I'll pull it up so you can see what it looks like. It is called the Fundamental Analysis Template. And it's right here. This is my website. And this is what it looks like. So you said PayPal or Square. So you would type in PayPal and you would type in Square and you would fill in all this data. And if you're saying, well, I don't know where to find all this data, it's right there. Everything you need right here. And if you click on the link, hello, where is my hand? Oh, there it is. You can see me waving. You can input your own data. So you wanted PYPL versus Square. And then you can go on all the websites that are down here and input your own data. And it's free. There's no Venmo to unlock it. There's no sign up on my email list or anything like that. Meg says, how do I sell my $1,500 of stock and buy a different stock? You go into the brokerage where you bought your stock and you hit sell. Keep in mind, if it's in an individual account and you're taking a profit, you'll owe taxes. I can buy QQQM more frequently due to the lower cost. That's why I'm kind of interested in it. Buck, QQQ is great. I love QQQ. Super SXYB says, should I continue into dollar cost into Costco or should I wait for a dip? When's the dip? You don't know. Nobody knows. Why would there be a dip? Why would there be a dip for something like Costco? What would happen in the world where Costco stock would drop? It's up 600% in the last 10 years alone. In the last 12 months, it's up 51%. Waiting to buy a dip means you're missing out on those returns. I can't tell you what to do with your money, but I wouldn't be waiting. I would be dollar cost averaging. And if you were worried, if you thought something is coming and that's going to impact Costco or any stock you own, then you could say, hey, listen, this month instead of buying 2 shares, I'm just going to buy 1. And I'm going to only go 1 share and keep that additional money on the side. If you're fortunate enough to be able to buy 2 shares of Costco, I don't know because you didn't say. Even if it's an amount, even if you're putting in $100 a month getting fractional shares and you think something bad is coming, do 50. That's an option. You do 50 every month. You reserve the other 50. When the dip actually comes or the stock gets hammered on bad earnings, then you can deploy a little bit more money. The only downside is in that time, the stock could go up 50%. So now you're buying and then it drops 20%. It's still higher than it was today. You get what I'm saying? So that's the risk of this whole I'm going to wait thing. Uber thoughts we've talked about already. What about a spot Bitcoin ETF? Any good? Yeah, I think long term they'll do fine. Right now, since going public, many of them are down. Let's see. The iShares Bitcoin ETF is up 8.5% year to date. What are the other ones? ARK B. That's the other one. ARK B is down 6%. So, HODL is the other one, the Van Eck one. Year to date, it is down 4%. Invesco has one. Since inception, it is down 2.7%. So I think long term, they're going to be fine. I think they're all buying opportunities down the road. Or now a little bit, slowly. When Facebook came out, I thought it was another MySpace, so I missed it. Oh no, is Tesla a trash? No, I don't think it's trash. I think that their growth might be slowing over the next couple years. Can you trade futures? I can, but I don't. What is wrong with Thinkorswim? Nothing. I love Thinkorswim. Have you discussed realty income today? Yes, I have a couple times. People have just asked what I thought. I think it is the. I think realty income is like the most common and the most popular real estate investment trust on the market. I love it. Okay, I'm all caught up, I think. Buck says, do you know why QQQ and QQQM performance is slightly different? It could just be the amount of shares that they own of different companies, but it is going to be very slight. Like, to the point where it's not worth worrying. One isn't better than the other. They are the exact same thing. It's just that QQQ has a more robust options chain if you like trading options. And they've been around longer, so they have more assets under management. QQQ has 238 billion. QQQM has 20 billion. It's the exact same holdings, just smaller shares. It doesn't mean that because the other one has more shares, they'll have higher growth. Their growth is identical. Look, QQQ in 2023 went up 53.15%, and QQQM went up 53.17%. So we're talking about 0.2%, 0.02% difference. Negligible, not worth being concerned about. Probably just a little extra dividend or a little extra shares or something like that. In my city, it's so meant to get crazy. People go to the bank. Okay, I caught up. People feel comfortable with brick and mortar. Then okay. Any good European ETFs? None that I know of, but like you would look for like a total world ETF, like VT. I bank with SoFi. Microsoft, way more stable than Tesla, probably. But the returns from Tesla could be considerably higher than the returns from Microsoft. Could be. Felicia says, do you use any bots or algorithm in your trading? No, I don't. I use PeakBot, though, which is, it's not AI. It is algorithm-based trading. I have 10 minutes left in this live. Otherwise, I would bring in Dylan, who is the founder of PeakBot, and he's become a friend of mine. But I got 10 minutes left. What do you think about Riot? I think they'll do well just because of their association with crypto. Would you buy Celsius now that it is tanked? Has Celsius tanked? No, I don't think I would. The reason I would... Oh, yeah, wow, 12, almost down 13%. The reason I don't think I would invest in energy drink stocks is just based on my personal view of them. They move very trendy. So 2 years ago, it was Bang, the energy drink Bang Energy. All the college kids at my gym were chugging Bang nonstop. Before that, it was Monster. Before that, it was Red Bull. Before that, it was something else. Every couple of years, it seems like there's a new shift into a different energy drink. Celsius is hot right now. In 2 years, all the college kids aren't going to be drinking Celsius. They'll be drinking something else. And what I'll do is I'll be keeping my eye on what they're drinking every time they come to the gym. And the minute they start shifting away from Celsius and they pick up that different energy drink, the new hot energy drink that every college kid has to have, I will buy that stock and hold it for a couple of years and then dump it. That would be my plan. Thoughts on Dogecoin? Wouldn't waste my money. Ken, can you look into my question? I'm really not able to get a Roth type of account. Ken, can you look at my question? I really am not able to get a Roth type of account. Let me look and see if I can find your question. There's a lot of really good questions in here, but I'm not seeing yours, kind-hearted. I'm not seeing yours. Sorry, I was just sending a text message to someone. How about Lucid stock? Lucid? It's a lottery ticket. I would only put in what I was willing to lose. That's my honest opinion on something like Lucid. Big Man says AMD, Amazon, Tesla, Apple, they're the kings. I like that. How about Coinbase? Fade the public? I'm not sure what that means. I'm still looking for your comment. I'm sorry I don't see it. What are your strategies for taking profits? I don't know. Hi, Ken. This is from Bakerson. Can you describe how interest rates impact the discount rate and discounted cash flow? No, I can't. I'm not smart enough to answer that. PanW and Now, are they close to hitting a peak? Let me look up Now, because I know PanW. Service Now. I mean, ServiceNow is up 78%, 74% in the last 12 months. And what was the other one? PanW, Palo Alto. Palo Alto up 140%. My feeling is anytime you see a company that's had massive growth in a short period of time, which would be like a year, that yes, it could have hit their highs and it could just pull back a little bit. But it doesn't mean that the stock is over. It just could mean that it's overextended, that it's had a huge rally, it went up a ton, and now it's pulled back. What about Ethereum? I own Ethereum, and I like it. I'm going to buy more Uber. How complicated are filing taxes? They can be a little complicated, but using a service like TurboTax, even if you hate them, I think they're evil. They have all these government lobbyists that keep our taxes very complicated on purpose. They're expensive, blah, 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 blah. Recently, the free file thing has, I think, is now a thing, right? You can file your taxes for free if you've made under a certain amount of money. So that's a great option for people. However, if you make a lot of money through your dividends and your stocks, it can be a little complicated, but I used to have an accountant and he charged so much money. And I would sit there and I would watch him filling out all these forms and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, there's no way I could do this. And then he would tell me like, all right, here's what you owe me this year. And I'd be like, how much? So one year I said, I'm going to try to do it myself. And TurboTax, even though I think they're evil, made it very, very easy to do. You just log in on TurboTax through your brokerage account. It imports your taxes and it does it all for you. And there will be errors, there will be problems, there will be forms that you need to fill out. And I look at it and I go, what is this? They have a chat. It's okay. One time, the person that I was chatting with had to go ask, even though she was an accountant, it was some sort of like overseas stock that I invested in that gave me some sort of special dividend, and there were all kinds of overseas fees. And even the accountant didn't know how to answer it and had to put me on hold to go ask someone. And in the time, the way TurboTax does their FaceTime or whatever, you can see them, but they can't see you. And she fell asleep on camera like this, full on asleep. And I was like, hello, like I'm like banging on stuff trying to wake her up. But if it stresses you out, you can just go to a place like H&R Block and let someone actually do your taxes. NC Charlie says, what are your strategies for taking profits? If we're talking about stock trading, I'll look at something like the relative strength index and volume. If the stock is overbought and the volume is slowing down, I'm out. Some people say, well, it could go up a little bit higher. I don't care. My goal isn't to make all the money. It's just to make some of it. So I'm out. When it comes to a long-term investment, I'll look at everything and I'll assess my overall situation financially and say, like, why am I considering selling the stock? Am I worried about the fundamentals? Am I worried that the growth is slowing? Do I think that I could sell this one and put my money into something better? Then maybe I sell it. How long would it take to learn to trade from your videos? I don't know. Do it and time yourself and let me know. How about Lucid? Again, not a fan of Lucid. Ticker ARC B, that's the Cathie Wood one. I don't think these funds have even established their expense ratios yet. So they're not even their top 10 holdings. I mean, their top 10 holding, it's going to be Bitcoin. A lot of them haven't even yet put in their holdings, which will probably come in the next month or so. iBit, the iShares Bitcoin ETF, has an expense ratio of 0.12%, very, very low. Their top 10 holdings are the Bitcoin Universe ETF Euro. I don't know what that means, but that's what they're holding. Oh, I see your question now, Kindhearted. Do you have any thoughts on retirement replacements to a 401k? I really can't get a Roth-based account. I would say talk to an accountant and maybe they'll have an idea for some sort of tax-sheltered account. I don't know because I'm not an accountant. But a Roth IRA is the best way to go. If you can't qualify for a Roth IRA, maybe it's because you make too much money, then you would have to go with a traditional Roth IRA. That's not bad. It's just that you'll get taxed on the when you withdraw money in retirement. If you can't open any of those, like I couldn't open a Roth IRA for many years as a stock trader because all the money I made from my stock trading counted as unearned income in the eyes of the IRS. It wasn't a real job. So I couldn't open a Roth IRA. The only time I was able to open a Roth IRA was when I got on TikTok and I got a brand deal. And someone in one of my lives actually was the one who tipped me off. And they were like, hey, you got a brand deal. That's earned income. You can open a Roth IRA. And I was like, oh, shit. So then I opened the Roth IRA. NVIDIA is a good one. Won't institutions buy Bitcoin directly? Yeah, they have fees. Favorite Bitcoin ETF? I don't really have one at the moment because they're all too new. I was going to make a Bitcoin ETF video last week, but when I started going through their summary pages, none of them had disclosed their holdings. None of them had disclosed their expense ratios. And so I was like, well, I'm gonna hold off. So I'm still planning on holding off. At very first glance, the only one that I see that's up year to date is the iShares Bitcoin ETF. The symbol is IBIT, IBIT. It's $23, and they have an expense ratio of 0.12%, so very low. And in the time that they've been public, it is up 8.5%, so pretty good. What's WWE? Pro wrestling, like John Cena, The Rock. Any idea why natural gas has tanked so much given the freezing weather lately? No, I don't know. Penny stocks, $1 million vehicles. What do you think about Lion Electric? Never heard of it. What about Rivian? I like Rivian, but it's speculative. How high can Tesla go this year? Your guess is as good as mine. The analysts think it can go up a little bit. But their earnings are out on Friday, so it's going to be all eyes on Friday. The analysts think Tesla can go up 17% this year. Billy, covered call ETFs like QYLD. I like QYLD. People say don't buy QYLD, buy something like JEPQ, which is a little bit of an investment portfolio and a little bit of a covered call. That way you benefit from the markets going up and you benefit from the covered call income. But if you already own an S&P 500 index fund or any sort of index fund like that, you don't really need JEPQ for the growth. QYLD is great for income. It is not an S&P 500 index fund or a NASDAQ or QQQ, NASDAQ 100. It's not anything that's going to go up like an investment. They generate income by selling covered calls, which means the shares that they own now could get called away later. So as long as you're already diversified in ETFs, you don't need something like JEPQ, which is a little of both. Then JEPI or QYLD is fine. I like QYLD. A lot of other people like JEPI. To me, their expense ratios are both kind of low. QYLD is a little bit higher, but their dividend is a little bit higher. So I like QYLD. And the expense ratio is under 1% for most. So they're all ultimately very low. Okay, got to go to the bottom now. I don't think TSLY will break even, unfortunately. I think it's just going to head lower and lower. Unless Tesla stock really skyrockets in value again. I think it's just going to be, I just take it for the income. I own it too, and I'm down in that as well. But for me, TSLY, I'm just taking the money and I'm investing it into other things. Spirit is hot garbage, only a lottery ticket. I bought some Spirit, by the way, last week, and I'm up 21%. Does that mean you should go buy it? Maybe not. I don't know you. I don't know your risk tolerance. I'm only putting in what I'm willing to lose. So if my investment in Spirit goes to zero, no big deal. Thoughts on ETH with an E. This is the Grayscale Ethereum Trust. In the last year, it's up 158%, which is very, very good. It looks like it's a stock, so there's no fee. Since going public, it's up 2,400%. I like it. Do you have a favorite pharma or biotech fund? No, but if you use a website like Seeking Alpha, their search bar allows you to type in stuff like that. So I'm just going to type in pharma ETF. No, we might have to spell it out. Pharmaceutical ETF. It gives us the PPH Van Eck Pharmaceutical or PJP Invesco Pharmaceutical or XPH, the S&P 500 Pharmaceuticals ETF. So I would use their search bar like that, and I would go on and I would research those 3 ETFs and see which one you thought was better. All right, everyone, it's 11 o'clock, so I got to wrap this live up a little bit. Karamat says, I'm down 30% on ARC-G. What strategy should I use? It's Genomic Revolution. It has terrible grades, momentum F, expenses D, dividends F, risk F. Their expense ratio is a little bit high. I guess the question for you is, do you want to cut losses and put that money into something else? I don't know when you bought it. Oh, you said you're down 30%. Do you want to take a 30% loss? Do you want to, you bought it for a reason. Do you still think these companies are going to be successful in the next 10 or 15 years? Because then you could use it as an opportunity to buy more. If you think it's done and you regret it and you wish you'd never bought it, then you wouldn't want a dollar cost average into something that's lost you 30%, and you might want to cut it and move on. What I would do if I were you is I would look at the top 10 holdings on a website like Seeking Alpha, look at their top 10 holdings, and then go on a website like TipRanks and look at the 1-year price target for those 10 companies individually. See what the analysts think about them. Do they have sell orders? Do they think these stocks are terrible? That could give you some insights. Felicia's laughing, but I don't know why. I need a good tax man. Yeah, don't we all? Kind-hearted, I think your alternative to a Roth IRA would be to call an accountant and run your situation by them. I don't know. Alani is the new energy drink. Alani drink. Oh, I've seen these around. Alani New, like NU? Who owns them, though? That's the question. Who owns this company? It looks like they own themselves. I'm not interested. Contact. About. This looks like a small company. So I think they're not publicly traded. I would guess that if this thing really takes off, we're going to see a company come and buy them or make an offer to buy them. Or if they really take off, they'll go public. S. Tegan says, can you do a video on the bot? I assume you mean PeakBot. I have a playlist on PeakBot on my homepage. Go check it out. My favorite stock for 2024, I'm going to say NVIDIA still. I still think even though I don't think it's going to go up another 200% this year, it's already up 20%. I want to see where it goes. Personal Wings. You said you're 42, you have a good Roth percentage balance. What's a good Roth percentage balance if you're unable to trade daily? You don't have to trade daily. Typically, and this depends on you, but it's like 40% S&P 500, 30% a variety of other ETFs like dividends, real estate investment trusts, and growth. 20% individual stocks, and then 5 to 10% highly speculative investments. That's usually the percentage breakdown. If you tag me in a comment, I will then tag you in a video that I made, or you can scroll through on my page. It's a couple videos back now, but it's like percentage breakdown is like the little text that's on the screen. Is it hard to use TurboTax? No, it's like $200, so it's expensive, but it's not that expensive compared to like having your own accountant. All right, everybody, I'm going to wrap this live up. Pfizer versus Johnson & Johnson, you would go on my website and use the fundamental analysis template, and you can answer that yourself, because I got to go. It's 11:10. I got to put this video on YouTube, so if you want to go back and rewatch it or see if I answered a question earlier on for somebody else, you can do it. I go live Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays at 10 a.m. If I didn't answer your question, I'm very, very sorry. I try to get to everybody, but I also try to keep the time down a little bit. And if I didn't answer one of your questions, you can always leave a comment on one of my videos, and I'll try to get to it there. Goodbye, Personal Wings. Leave me a comment, and I'll tag you in a video if you want to see the video. Thanks for watching, and have a good day. Bye, everyone.